And it's time for Lefties Losing It. Let's check in on a British musician losing it right here in Australia, the lead singer of Garbage, who back in the day produced some exceptional music, not for a while now, but the lead singer these days is donning outfits in the Palestinian colours, ranting about genocide and having an absolute meltdown over a beach ball.
Guy with your big beach ball. Ooh, I'm so scared of you, so thrilled by you. What a douchebag.
Oh, that wasn't it. There was a lot more. This is about to get weird, folks.
Like, it literally makes me want to beg people to go over there and punch you in the face. Oh, you're getting rid of the balloon now? Yeah, you big dudes. Wow, oh my God, you're so cool. It's just so outrageously cool. I can't go over it. Wow. It's disrespectful, and musicians have had enough. And we're fed up of not getting paid properly, and fed up of having to play for douchebags like you. You're a middle-aged man in a ridiculous hat.
That dude in the ridiculous hat has paid to watch live music, Shirley. He's paid to support musicians, to watch you perform at the Good Things Festival in Melbourne. And that meltdown only got worse. Shirley Manson was actually hoping that that poor bloke got bashed up. I mean, this is unhinged.
You're a face, and I literally want to ask people to punch you in the face. But you know what? I'm a lady, so I won't. But if truly,
violence is not the
I would love to send my crew over to you up, but you know what? I won't, because I pity you, because you're a small man with a small.
What is wrong with you, ladies? Surely you can't be serious. One beach ball got that response, and then she doubled down on that behaviour, releasing a statement justifying it. She said she makes no apologies whatsoever. But guess what? She did issue an apology, because even the lefty music world turned on her. Here is Stand Atlantic, who are appearing with Garbage in the Good Things Festival. This is how they started their set in Sydney. And I got to say, I have never been more proud of Brisbane. This is how they responded to Shirley's tantrum, by bringing dozens of beach balls to the Brisbane performance. Yep, this is how you respond to a lefty losing it.
If you're ready for love, if you're ready for love, if you're ready for balls, if you're ready for balls. If you're ready for balls, if you're ready for balls, if you're ready for balls, future, love, future.
Well done, Brisbane. You did us proud. I think it was after that Shirley Manson finally read the room and apologised. And, of course, she's changing lyrics now. But, of course, like a good lefty, like a typical cry bully, she is playing the victim and virtue signalling.
So the only thing that kind of shocks me a little is that there's been more fuss made about me offending beach balls than there has about 20,000 Palestinian kids. I would just like to remind you all what actually is important in this life. And maybe a beach ball brings you joy, and for that I apologise. If I upset you about your blessed beach balls, I humbly apologise.
I don't think people were upset that you were insulting beach balls, Shirley. I think it was the threats of violence against a poor dude who happened to have one at your performance. Now, time to see what Saturday Night Live are up to, and they have decided to mock War Secretary Pete Hegseth, but they just made him seem cooler and hotter.
Music. What? First things first, we're the fatties. fatties. You, out!
What? I'm not even fat.
Oh, really? You think you're hiding it under that blazer, Porky?
That's supposed to make me hate him. It's not working, NBC.
Now listen up. As you probably read in some gay newspaper, we're now at war with Venezuela. All you nerds are like, wait, but was there an official declaration of war? Yeah, it's right here. Superfinger, Dane Cook. Now you got questions for me? Fine. Pretend I'm a random fishing boat and fire away.
Oh, random fishing boat. We're going with that narrative, are we, Saturday Night Live? Now, talking about fatties, imagine how much time you must have on your hands and how desperate you must be to be offended that you take issue with this.
Why is there diet culture on the parking meters? Why do we have on the parking meters, sometimes I diet, don't feed me on the following holidays? Why are we promoting fat phobia and diet culture even on the parking meters in LA? It gets to a point. It really does get to a point. This is an issue and this needs to be fixed. West Hollywood, this is actually disgusting.
Joining me now is Sky News contributor Kosha Gator. And Kosha, we have a lot of US news to unpack, but let's start in the UK and the extraordinary case of former footballer Joey Barton, who has been handed a suspended sentence for social media posts that caused distress and anxiety. These were posts about broadcaster Jeremy Vine and a couple of soccer pundits. Free speech is well and truly dead in the UK. Let's hear from Judge Andrew Maneri at the Liverpool Crown Court after a jury found the ex-Manchester City and Newcastle player guilty.
I have no doubt that neither a fine alone nor a community order can be justified and that the custody threshold is crossed. There will be concurrent terms of imprisonment for each of these associated offences, the sentences for each reflecting your overall offending. I'm satisfied that it's not necessary for those custodial terms to be served immediately. In light of the steps you have taken, I am persuaded that there is some prospect of rehabilitation.
Kosha, well, I'm glad the re-education is working and he's not going to jail. He's got a suspended term there, but he's also been hit with 200 hours of unpaid work in the community and more than 20,000 in pounds in costs, all for social media posts calling a couple of soccer pundits the Fred and Rose West of football commentary and superimposing their heads on that infamous picture of Fred and Rosemary West. I mean, really? The whole notion that you can be brought before the courts, found guilty, possibly sentenced to jail for things that are causing anxiety, not things that are defamatory, things that are threatening, things that are just offensive.
Another one bites the dust. And it is extra sad in the UK, land of the Magna Carta. We've talked about this before, the birthplace of the principle of free speech. And to see that happening there just cuts extra deep. And when they go after cultural figures or famous people, imperfect though they may be, Joey Barton and others, Graham Linehan, the comedian, My Father Ted creator recently, and others, it is a high-stakes move because it does tend to stir more of the disbelief from the public a little bit. You're seeing the power structures making an example of them. I do think that's partly why they're going after it. But there is a flip side to that coin where hopefully you're going to see some kind of backlash and people
I'm
wake
not
up.
sure that's the case, though, because they're the cases we hear about. I mean, this is a famous individual. Graham's famous. But there are a frightening number of people who are hit with these charges, who have people show up, police officers show up to their houses
like
to
the
question
woman
them.
Praying in front of the abortion clinic and all those people.
Oh, there's so many grandmothers for sharing memes on social media. And just the case recently, which did get a lot of media attention, thankfully, which was a young woman who was put in hospital after an assault.
Yes.
And she called her alleged assailant a homophobic slur in a private text message to somebody she knew.
Who snitched on her.
Who snitched on her. And she had 11 police officers show up to her house.
Absolutely.
11.
It was outrageous, that one, because she literally physically was a victim. My point is maybe if they go after famous people, the devil is overplaying its hand. But we shall see. We shall see, because not yet. And if you just look at the judge over there, they really seem to believe this principle. which is that words can harm people. And the whole point of free speech is that the answer to speech you don't like is more speech, not less speech. And words do not kill people, no matter what they are.
But in the UK, social media posts that cause distress and anxiety could see you before the courts and with a conviction. Just madness. Now let's go to the US, and the press is continuing to focus on the narco boat and the drug runners that were neutralised with 2 separate strikes, and President Trump's patience seems to be wavering.
Admitting to releasing the full video?
Didn't I just tell you that?
You said that it was
You're
up
the
to
most
Secretary Hegseth.
obnoxious reporter in the whole place. Let me just tell you, you are an obnoxious, actually a terrible reporter, and it's always the same thing with you. I told you, whatever Pete Hegseth wants to do is okay with me.
Kosha, I get the feeling that the Republicans are quite happy with the media's fixation on this issue, because the average American really doesn't care about how these narco-terrorists are being blown up in the Caribbean Ocean or the Eastern Pacific Ocean. They're quite happy for these drugs not to be coming into the country.
Absolutely. Politically, this is a slam dunk, just immigration more broadly. For the president, securing the border, stopping the inflow of fentanyl, this fits into that. There is a little subcurrent on the right of people worried that this is indicative of escalatory action against Venezuela, the country, potentially. So, that maybe is a side point. But broadly, this issue has full support of the people. The real reason, I think, for why the Democrats are doing this, though, their real agenda is not the political hit. It is laying the groundwork for impeachment 3.0, 4.0, 5.0. If they take the House and the Senate, I think we're going to be seeing them finding all sorts of things to throw at President Trump and hamstring him further and maybe even impeach him finally. So that's what this is about.
That seems to be their only plan, impeachment. And I think Trump doesn't care about that.
And now,
he cares about it dominating the media and taking oxygen away from what he's actually trying to implement. But I don't think he cares about being impeached. Just like he didn't really care about the indictments because he thinks they're bogus.
Yeah, that is kind of his superpower. He doesn't care about the negative publicity, if you will, and the fact that he won't run again. Maybe they won't go for it, but it is all about running out the clock, basically. And he's got 3 years left. If they hamstring him for half that time, or he's defending an impeachment trial, he won't be doing other things to advance his agenda.
Now to an issue that deserves far greater coverage, always did, and that's the plight of children forced into labour or trafficked for sex after they cross the southern border without their parents under the Biden administration. Whistleblowers have alleged that more than 300,000 migrant children, some estimate around 500,000, were missing or lost due to the Biden administration's border crisis. Border Czar Tom Homan spoke this week about tens of thousands of these children being rescued.
Children that weren't even being looked for under the Biden administration. President Trump saved over 62,000 children's lives. Some of these children were in sex trafficking, we found them. Some were in forced labor. Some were being mistreated. I can't even discuss some of the mistreatment we found out about.
A Department of Homeland Security report last year concluded that ICE had released hundreds of thousands of migrant children without notices to appear in court during the Biden presidency, and they have no way to track them after these children cross the border as unaccompanied minors. Kosha. Again, one issue that should be getting so much more media scrutiny if the media wasn't obsessed with narco boats and narco terrorists.
100%. This is one of many and probably the worst undertold cost of the illegal immigration crisis, which is what it is. And there's entire organizations that are taking children, using them as a passport, figuratively speaking, to enter the country, because you can latch onto that and then get more favorable case verdicts for asylum and other things like that, even if they're not their own children. And then, as you just cited, that the previous administration didn't care. There's anywhere from 300 to 500,000 children. We can only imagine the conditions they're in and what they've been made to do. And if they recovered 62,000, as Tom Homan said, we're 10 to 20% of the way there. And so hopefully this would be another great outcome of this presidency. If they keep up that pace, that they'll be pretty close to 80, 90% of them recovering. Sadly, not all of them will be. And maybe an aside, but since they will never give President Trump the Peace Prize, maybe somebody should nominate Tom Homan for the Peace Prize for rescuing hundreds of thousands of children, hopefully by the end of this term.
Now, we discussed at the time the viral video of Tish Hyman, who is a Black lesbian who encountered a male body in the women's locker room, a naked male body, and because she objected, she was the one banned from the gym. Well, she has been attending events with Democrat politicians and politely asking them why they back policies that put women in danger. Here she is with Rokana.
Women, including myself, are being harassed by naked men in our locker rooms. In my case, the man in my locker room was a convicted domestic abuser who broke his wife's jaw so badly she needed surgery. Why issue a sensational warning about hypothetical genital checks when the real harassment of girls is happening right here under our current laws that allow men to self-ID into our spaces?
That has nothing to do, in my view, with someone who is trans and who identifies as a woman, saying that they can be using the locker room or bathroom which they identify with. That is their right. Now, if that person, if I could just finish.
Oh, it's so frustrating, Kosha. He just doesn't get it. It's all about self-ID with these clowns. He even wants male bodies competing in women's sport as long as those male bodies identify as female. He completely missed the point there because that individual did have a history of violence, terrible violence, but according to Rokana, what he was doing in that locker room was perfectly fine because he identifies as a woman and he wasn't beating anyone up at that time, so he was entitled to be there.
He deserves a medal. I think if he truly didn't get it, it would almost be better. I think the reality is he does get it.
Yeah.
And he's being a coward. He's being a complete coward because he is hiding behind the legal argument that there's no legal remedy for assaulting somebody, arresting somebody before they've committed an assault just because they entered the wrong bathroom. If a male enters a female bathroom, there's no legal recourse. So he's hiding behind that technicality rather than being bold and brave and saying what we all know is real, protecting women's spaces. He has 2 kids. One is a daughter. I think she's 8 or 10 years old. I'm sure he would have a big problem if boys are competing in sports with her. I don't know this, but I would posit that that's a safe bet to make. Or if she found herself in a public bathroom where an intact male was in there. So he's just paying lip service because that is what the Democrat position is.
I don't even know at this stage whether they genuinely believe these positions or it's just part and parcel of the ideology they've signed up to, so they've got to mouth these ridiculous notions without actually believing them. It really doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's worse. I mean, it's even worse.
Because the people being impacted, like Tish, it doesn't matter if the politicians implementing these crazy policies actually believe in them or not, because there are victims of it every day.
And I hope she gets louder, because for a black lesbian Democrat voter from California to become a spokesperson for the size, that is something they probably didn't have on their bingo card.
Exactly. Kosha Gator, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
It's a fine time to check on the woman of many accents, no, not Kamala Harris, but private school educated Jasmine Crockett. Here she is suggesting that it'd be a great idea if black folk didn't pay taxes. She heard a celebrity say it, so you know it's a good idea.
Just this past week I saw, I don't remember which celebrity, but it was actually a celebrity, and I was like, I don't know that that's not necessarily a bad idea, but I'd have to think through it a lot. One of the things that they propose is black folk not have to pay taxes for a certain amount of time, because then again, that puts money back in your pocket, but at the same time, it may not be as objectionable to some people about actually giving out dollars. But obviously then you start dealing with the different tax brackets and things like that. And that's one of the reasons that, you know, we argue the reparations make sense, because so many black folk, not only do you owe for the labor that was stolen and killed and all the other things, right? But the fact is, like, we end up being so far behind.
That's Democrat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, and she now wants to be Senator Jasmine Crockett. She is running for the US Senate in 2026, and this is her first campaign video. It's just basically President Trump describing her as a low IQ, hard left radical. Pretty accurate, really.
How about this new one they have, their new star, Crockett? How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man, oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
Really, it's hard to work out if that's a Democrat or a Republican commercial. Let's bring in comedian Alex Stein. Alex, Jasmine Crockett wants to be a senator for the great state of Texas, your state. What are her chances?
Not only is she representing my state, she represents my district where my office is. And let me tell you something, she is an embarrassment to the city of Dallas, and she's not even from Dallas. She's not even from Texas, so she's a literal carpetbagger. But, you know, this is the thing when it comes to Jasmine Crockett. I actually agree that Black people shouldn't pay taxes. As a fellow Black man, I actually do agree with her on that. So I don't want to talk about that because she's right about that. Now, everything else she is wrong about, and she is going to get humiliated against Ken Paxton if Ken Paxton beats John Cornyn in the primary. So I'm just going to tell you this. The state of Texas did elect her as a congresswoman, but the chances of her getting elected as a senator is 0%.
So you're all on board on Black people not paying taxes. I didn't realise you were transracial. You identify as African American?
Yes, I do, and Filipino as well. So listen, this is just what I identify as. Whether you believe it or not, this is my right. So if you don't agree with that, you're the racist, you're the bigot.
That's the rules these days. Yes, you're right there. Now, there were a bunch of brave celebrities, singers and actors who have been honoured at the White House where they received their Kennedy Center honours. They get medals for that, and then they go to a beautiful gala event at Washington, D.C. venue. Let's have a look at the president giving these people their honours.
On behalf of every American who has been inspired by the unbelievable talent of Michael Crawford, who has been influenced by the music of George Strait or Gloria Gaynor or Kiss, or who has been moved by Sylvester Stallone's unmatched heart and talent and grit, because nobody played that role, and nobody will ever play that role like Sly.
Alex, the president said they had defined entire genres and set new standards for the performing arts, but I say they're brave because to be accepting an award like this from President Trump, it could be very hazardous to your career in the entertainment world. We know they've got that new age McCarthyism where if you're a conservative or even tolerant of conservatism, you may stop working.
No, and it's funny because, you know, you call them brave, and I know you're saying that a little facetiously, but also you're being honest because this is really where we're at. This is the political climate where these celebrities will lose brand deals. They'll lose everything. They'll lose their agency if they just are just even sympathetic to that side. Like, they don't even have to be conservative, but if they're sympathetic to conservatives, that is enough to get canceled. So I just want to say Sly Stallone, his role of Rocky is arguably one of the greatest movies of all time. So he definitely deserved that award. Now, George Strait, I'm sure you've heard all the rumors about George Strait. I don't know if they're true or not. I love George. He's the king. I'm just saying. Tom
I have heard no rumors.
Okay.
I am not listening to any rumors. I will not listen to rumors about George Strait. Do not tell me anything.
The king.
Thank you. Now, they say courage is courageous, and here we've got another actor coming forward and making statements about Donald Trump that a few years ago would see him possibly literally run out of Hollywood. Kelsey Grammer, the man behind the brilliant comedy series Frasier, has praised Donald Trump in an interview ahead of the Kennedy Center honors. He said, "I think he's extraordinary. He's one of the greatest presidents we've ever had, maybe the greatest." Alex, he also said it's great to have somebody as president who actually means what they say.
You know, that's probably the best thing about Trump is that you know that he loves America and he actually means it when he says it. Not like all these other politicians, but Kelsey Grammer, his role in Frasier, he was an icon. He's another guy that was just in the latest Avengers movie. He can lose a lot of credibility in Hollywood by, you know, supporting Donald Trump. So I just want to give him a lot of credit for being brave and, you know, speaking out and supporting President Trump, because really everything he said is correct. I think Donald Trump is the best president of my lifetime. And he's one of the best presidents. You know, he's not perfect, but no president is. But I truly believe that he wants to make this country a better place. And that was not the case with the last administration.
And we're not exaggerating this situation that exists in Hollywood and in entertainment world in general, where people are ostracized if they're not from the left. I mean, you got at the moment someone as big as Taylor Swift copping criticism, even though she's a Democrat, even though she's campaigned for Democrats, because she's stopped issuing political messages, she's copping some heat. But if you actually come out and say, I'm a Republican, or I respect the president, I don't hate President Trump, in fact, I admire him, that could be the end of your career. That could see you not get any further work. So it does take some guts to make statements like that. Alex, Google's year-in search data for 2025 has revealed that Charlie Kirk was the #1 trending search in the US. More broadly than that, I know you two were friends. I know you do work for Turning Point. How do you see Charlie's legacy, his enduring legacy?
Well, this is a question that I've got a lot. I've had to answer just from friends and family because everybody wants to know about Charlie. And, there's a saying that the art gets better when the artist dies. And that is true. Now people are realizing how incredible Charlie Kirk was. And I think that's so great and that his legacy will last forever. But I'm still so torn inside, Rita, because it doesn't matter how long his legacy will last. And I'm sure it'll last forever. If he was alive, he would have made this country so incredibly great. And so even though his legacy now will be much bigger than it probably, even if he was president now with the horrible tragic ending to his life, nobody will ever forget Charlie Kirk. His name will, resonate with people for years and years and years. But this country would be so much of a better place if we just still had Charlie with us. It just makes me sick thinking about it every day, Rita. I'm just so sad.
I can understand, and I agree with you. I think he would have been president one day. It's just such a tragedy for the country. Now, before you go, I'm going to play you some footage that has just gone viral from Texas showing the Henrietta Bearcats football team getting an amazing send-off, and only in Texas send-off before a playoff game. Alex, that's a high school football team getting a send-off like that. Texas is something else.
Friday Night Lights, Rita, is very real. It is a religion here in Texas. And let me just tell you this, though. If you guys saw that clip, the Henrietta Bearcats dominated after that game, rightfully so. So, people might not realize that actually does get us motivated to go fight. Like there's that carnal instinct, riding a big 1,000-pound horse, seeing another man do it, it'll get you fired up for a football game. And that's what Texas high school football is all about. Just fighting, being tough. And, it's a Texas way.
You need to send me a Bearcats cap very quickly, Alex. Alex Stein, thank you for your time.